Hello everyone, welcome back. It's only been about 3 months since I last made a YouTube video, and a lot has happened in those 3 months. My parents, first of all, are fully vaccinated. That was a huge relief for me. Both of them are over 65. My dad has had health problems in the past, not serious ones, but he had asthma when he was younger, and he caught pneumonia a few years back before COVID was even a thing, and it wasn't good. So to know that they're both fully vaccinated with Pfizer is just, oh my gosh, I am very happy about that. We also had a huge snowstorm here in Texas that made the national news. I'm sure you heard about it. If you were watching the news back in February, it was wild, y'all. I've lived here my entire life. I've never ever seen snow like that. We've never had a freeze like that. I mean, I've seen snow before, and there have been a few times where I thought, wow, this is pretty crazy. It's never been up past my ankles before. Like, I walked to the park just to see what it was like, and I was sinking into snowbanks. That doesn't happen here. It was insane. And, here in Texas, we don't invest in snow plows. No one here owns a snow shovel. I legitimately looked out my window one day and saw my neighbors shoveling their sidewalk with a dustpan. It was so funny. I wish I'd taken a video or something, but all I could do was sit and watch, because what else are you going to do? I have to say though, my family, we were so much more fortunate than so many of our fellow Texans. We never lost power. Our water stayed on the whole time. We did have to conserve it. We conserved electricity. We conserved water. We roughed it out of our refrigerator, which, if you know anything about my sister and me, we basically live on frozen meals, and I don't think we really took into consideration just how long we'd be snowed in. So by the time Thursday, the snow started on a Sunday. By the time Thursday rolled around, we were begging our dad, can you, I know we're in the middle of a pandemic, I know the roads are icy, but can you drive us to the grocery store? Because we don't know how to drive in this. It was like an ice skating rink. And when we got to the grocery store, this is kind of funny, I was holding on to my dad because I was worried about him falling. He's a big dude and he's old. So I'm worried about him falling. But he's walking along this way, and I go, no, we should go this way. I broke away from the path and I walked the road that I thought would be safer, and I ended up wiping out completely. And my dad, he goes, you look like you were sliding into third base. So yeah, but I was fine. No harm, no foul. It was funny. It was an adventure, and I am not sad that the snow is gone. The next time I see snow, it better be on purpose. I've said it my whole life. I live in Texas for a reason, and that reason is I don't have to deal with 6 to 8 to 10 inches of snow. It was crazy. So some other things that have been happening. Oh, you may have noticed that I'm trying something new today. I decided that I wanted to shoot in front of my really cool art wall, and because I shoot with my computer, you can't even see the top of the art wall, but it's pretty neat. I love this picture of an African elephant by my friend and favorite photographer, Nate Zeman. Oh, and you can see my fan back here. My fan that I used to sleep with at night. That's where I am. There's also a painting of orcas down here. Most of these artworks I have found through independent artists, like at Comic-Con and stuff. And I love collecting art. Like, she's one of my favorite artists too. Her name is Holly. She runs Flying Frog Illustrations. And this is a print she actually gave me for free because my sister and I went and we bought so many of her smaller prints. Like, here's the Enchantress from Beauty and the Beast. But I mentioned that Esmeralda was one of my favorite Disney princesses / heroines. She's not technically a princess, but she's cooler than the princesses. And so she gave me this beautiful 5x7 of Esmeralda for free. I was like, I have to get a frame for her. And that's why I started framing all of my artwork, because I just couldn't let anything bad happen to Esmeralda. And speaking of Esmeralda, this is really cool. So I think I mentioned in a YouTube video, gosh, back in the summertime, that something that my sister and I had been doing during the pandemic was joining a bunch of Disney fan groups. And one of the groups I joined almost immediately was the Atlantis Empire posting group, because that's one of the most underrated. Oh, I have Kita. Oh, she's all the way up there. I don't know if I can you want to see her? Let's see if we can do this. Okay, so Kita's way up there along with the 4 Hogwarts founders and 2 of the prints that I showed you back in November or December that are from Well Met and Well Played by Jen DeLuca. I also have Duras. I also have a Princess Bride print, which Flying Frog Illustrations also did. So yeah, just a lot of, I love my, oh, and the artwork in the middle is an artist I met in New Mexico, and I am obsessed with her work. I want to go back to New Mexico so bad, because I'm hoping she would be back and I could find her and buy more of her stuff. So yeah, just my artwork, my art wall that I love. Anyway, so back to the Atlantis group. I joined it because Kita's the best, Milo's the best, I love Atlantis. And it turns out, I found out through the group, that the writer of Atlantis, the screenwriter, Mr. Tab Murphy, was in the group. And so here's kind of a neat story about him. This man has written 4 of my very favorite Disney movies of all time. And I didn't know this back when I was younger. I did not know that Brother Bear, Tarzan, Atlantis, and Hunchback of Notre Dame all have the same screenwriter. It's like, maybe that's why they're 4 of my favorite movies. I never made any sort of connection. I just knew I loved them. And when I found out they were all written by Tab Murphy, I had a small fangirl freakout moment, especially because he was in the group. And so here's the fun story that he told us back when he first joined the group. It was that he'd been to one Comic-Con in his life for a meet and greet, a signing. He was, selling posters and autographing them and all that stuff. And like only 10 people came by to see him. And he never thought his movies were that popular. And then thanks to the pandemic, he found out, oh my gosh, no, he's actually really popular. I guess no one was at that Comic-Con or something. I have no idea what was going on there, but he joined the group, and he found out, since there were actually several of us out there who wanted his signature, he started sending out free posters to fans. I mean, he mailed them, he covered the postage, he covered everything. And back in, I guess, late December, he messaged me and said, "Hey, Jackie, you've been chosen. Would you like some posters?" And when I tell you, I had the biggest fangirl meltdown. I was so beyond excited. And they arrived in early January, and all of them, once again, I framed them all, hung them on my wall, but I just had to show you one of them. And this is Hunchback of Notre Dame. It was the one I had easiest access to, so I just grabbed it. But I also got an Atlantis, a Brother Bear, and a Tarzan. They're all hanging on my wall. Oh my gosh, is it not gorgeous? And that's a signature right there. So, to my future children, you won't have any money in your inheritance, but you will have 4 posters signed by Tab Murphy, and I think that's even more valuable. So I'm just obsessed with them. I look at them every day because I'm just a big Disney fangirl in general. I've always been a Disney girl, and the fact that and these 4 movies just meant so much to me growing up. So my new prized possessions right here. All right. Next on the agenda, this is exciting news for those of you who maybe have followed along with the boy band journey. This is my friend Jalitza. We are still working on this, by the way. It's not dead. It's like so many other things, just been delayed due to COVID. I'm going to switch that just a little bit. So, we still got boy band going on. This is Jalitza. She's going to be playing Mel, and she's going to be directing. But at the moment, she has a new job. For all you anime fans out there, she is currently starring as Remy in the new Funimation series, Horimiya. And she's awesome! Oh my gosh, I'll be honest, I haven't watched a whole lot of anime in my time. I was a big Pokemon fan when I was little, but really that's about it. But when she got cast, I was like, okay, well, I've got to watch this. So my friend Caitlin and I have been having little viewing parties and supporting our beautiful Jalitza as she paves her way to superstardom. It's just so exciting. And the newest episode, they're released every Saturday, so I think episode 6 is available today. And I actually texted Caitlin earlier saying, hey, we're gonna have another watch party, so Caitlin, if you're watching this, text me back. Jalitza has worked so hard. She's an incredibly talented young lady, and I could not be more excited for her. I mean, I'll go out to stores, like box lunch, and ask if they have Horimiya stuff, and when they say, oh no, but I can't wait until we do, I'll say, well, my friend is actually Remy, so I finally have, cool credit, y'all. I finally have clout. So yeah, she's wonderful. She is amazing. Oh, and today's Pierce's birthday. So if you're watching this on, March 20th, stop by his social medias and wish him a happy birthday. He's 20 years old, y'all. He's a grown-up now. So, yep, that's fun. The next big thing, speaking of Caitlin, her name is Caitlin Renteria. Our friends Miracle Austin, who I have mentioned, and Margie Longoria, who is the founder and the mastermind of Border Book Bash, but who will soon be a published author herself, we've started a podcast. It's called Tall, Dark, and Darcy, and we have 4 episodes out so far, and we're hoping to put more out in the near future, but it's so much fun. I've told y'all before, I'm not much of a public speaker. That's why I'm not very good at YouTube videos. I'm still trying, but that's why I put one out every 3 months, because I'm very awkward and kind of silly, and I'll be honest, not very confident in the way that I speak. But working with those 3 has just been the best experience. I love them so much. They bring out the best in me. Although every single episode we've recorded so far, I've noticed, I guess I should tell y'all that Tall, Dark, and Darcy is basically the 4 of us chatting about books. Every single episode we've recorded so far, I have talked about The Hunger Games. I'm fairly certain that listeners are going to think I've never read another book. I promise, I have read more books than The Hunger Games. They're just, seriously, it's my favorite series. So, and it's, everything about it is so brilliant, and it's had such a profound impact on my life. In fact, it's been 9 years since I read them, almost to the day. So, yeah, happy anniversary to The Hunger Games. I love you. I wish I could forget you and go back and reread you for the first time, because you were that awesome. There is a book I haven't read, though, and it was during our last, Tall, Dark, and Darcy's last episode that I was forced to admit this, because our topic was girl power, right? So Caitlin started us off. She's our moderator. She is the only one who's like done a podcast before, so she actually knows what she's doing. And she's excellent. She's an excellent communicator. I just adore her. And so she's our moderator, and she started off the conversation talking about S.E. Hinton's The Outsiders, which apparently is an amazing book, and everyone in the world has read it except for me. I was forced to admit that I did not read this in high school or in college. I don't know why. I read other books, but I guess, my school just didn't require us to read The Outsiders. So I got publicly scolded on a podcast and told that I have to read this. And it's been like a couple weeks since we recorded, and I said, oh yeah, I'm going to read it, and I still haven't yet. I had a couple library books that I had to read first, because, I'm on a deadline with those. I don't have a deadline with this, but it's very short, and what's funny is I really thought my sister owned this book, and that's what I told them on the podcast. I said, yeah, my sister has the Outsiders, it's fine. It turned out she didn't. She had sold it back to half price, so the next day I went and got myself a copy. Well, I get to half price, and usually this book is everywhere, right? It's in the young adult section. It's in the, classics, what you should read for school section. And so I'm looking all around the half price, and it's not a very big half price. It's just like a block down from my house. It's not one of the big ones, but they couldn't find it. I couldn't find it anywhere. And so I asked one of the guys working there, I said, do you have The Outsiders? And he goes, we usually do. However, it's around the time they read it in schools, so I'm going to have to go check. Y'all, I got the last copy. Ha I felt so, powerful that I scored this copy of The Outsiders. And I am going to start... I do wish it was my sister's version, though, because, when she read it in high school, she would mark up her books and take notes. And that's what I want to read. I want to read the annotated version. So I'll maybe do a tweet along or an Instagram post about my thoughts on The Outsiders. And this isn't the first book, honestly, that everyone else read in high school that I didn't. In high school, I didn't read 1984. I didn't read Animal Farm. I didn't read Lord of the Flies. I have since read all three of those because my friend from high school and I realized, wow, we didn't read any of these. Maybe we should. So I have since read all three of those, but did not read The Outsiders. And honestly, I don't know a thing about it. I only know that there's a character named Ponyboy, and I'm pretty sure that the guy who played George Foyet, aka the Reaper in Criminal Minds, played him in the movie. And I think Rob Lowe is also in the movie, and I like Rob Lowe. But, yeah, I haven't seen the movie, haven't read, I don't know anything about it. My sister read it, and Miracle, Margie, and Caitlin are not going to like to hear this. She didn't like it very much. She doesn't think I'll like it. So I'll be but Margie, and Miracle, and Caitlin are convinced that I will just love and adore it. So I guess we'll see who knows me better. I'm very curious to find out about The Outsiders. And our last topic of business for the day is that I now have 4 books as hardbacks. Aren't they beautiful? So I got an email. The company that I use to print and distribute my books is called KDP. It's called Kindle Direct Publishing. It is an Amazon company, but which, give or take on Amazon. But I choose them because if you do all the work, they're absolutely free to authors. And they're actually very user-friendly, which is good for me because I am not a computer-savvy person. My volunteer job is upgrading to all this new email stuff. And I was talking to my supervisor the other day, and she was going, oh yeah, just do this and this and this. And I'm going, that sounds so hard. Oh no. But KDP is not like that. It's very, very easy to navigate. And I got an email about a month ago about a new beta test. They wanted to start publishing indie authors, indie books in hardbacks. And of course, I signed up immediately. And for the beta test for the moment, I'm pretty sure you're only allowed 5 titles to be hardbacks, because eventually, when it's public, I would love to get all of my books in hardback. But for now, I just have, as I just showed you, I have Cemetery Tours. I have Boy Band, which I accidentally made the paper white instead of cream, which I prefer cream, and there's really no way to change it at the moment. But you know, it's young adult and it has white on the cover, so the white pages don't really look too bad. I also have Trashy romance novel and Trashy suspense novel. And the cool thing about these two is that the paperbacks come in 5x8. Don't ask me why I decided to do that. I just thought they would look cool as 5x8s, and all it really did was make them longer, ergo more expensive. But, you know, it is what it is. They're 5x8s. But here in hardbacks, they are 6x9, just like all the other ones, and that means they're shorter, and it means for Trashy Suspense, I can make the font a little bigger. So, and they're just beautiful. Here, let me show you some, like an up-close of Trashy romance novel. So I did change it a little bit. I had to reformat the cover. So I threw the little awards on the back here, but I kind of like that. I think it looks more professional. So you open it up, and oh, it sounds like a hardback. Oh, it's so pretty. You know, you turn your pages, then you get the cover page. Oh, it's so pretty. And my favorite part, this is cool, guys. This shows you how much of a book nerd I am. But look at the spine. It has like the little threads in there that keep them together, and then when you open it up, just oh, it's so cool, it's so beautiful. I am absolutely obsessed, and if you look inside, just oh. And I love seeing Trashy romance and Trashy suspense with more on the pages, if that makes any sense, because they're bigger. It's neat. It's neat to see. And then, you know, you got Trashy suspense novel. It's a little longer, but oh my gosh. I could seriously sit here and look at them all day. I'm taking them to the Arboretum at some point to do a photo shoot just with the hardback copies amidst the tulips. So, I thought that I would still, you know, because the pandemic is still going on, although, exciting news, I have started signing up for in-person book events again. I can't wait. The only one that's official so far is Colorado Springs Comic-Con at the end of August, but I'm just so excited to get out of Dallas. It's gonna be great. I get to see mountains again. Every time I say that, I think of Bilbo and Lord of the Rings going, I want to see mountains again. Mountains, Gandalf. And it's true, I do. I miss the mountains. I miss the beach. I miss the woods. I miss anywhere that isn't my backyard. But yeah, so I thought that even though it is the first day of spring, I would read the 4th chapter of Trashy suspense novel. You know, it's definitely more of a winter book, but you can read suspense novels with snow all year long, and especially this one because I'm still very proud of it. I had so much fun writing this book, and especially now that it's in hardback and it's beautiful. So yeah, I thought I'd read chapter 4. I thought about a Trashy romance novel, but we're getting into like chapter 6 in that one, and that's, you know, getting kind of far in. I don't know if I want to read too much more of Trashy romance novel, but I will read some more Trashy suspense novel, and I'll try to be better about this, at least until book events start back up again, because that's why I started this YouTube channel in the first place. I started it to connect with readers who I, you know, would ordinarily see in person, but, and, you know, a year later, we're still not in person, but we're getting there, and I am so thankful and hopeful. And I'll be honest, y'all, when President Biden last week addressed the nation and made the announcement okay, here's the deal. I don't cry over, I don't get emotionally attached to politicians. I don't cry over anything that has to do with our government. It doesn't really affect me emotionally all that much. But when he said that he was going to be opening up the entire country to uh, be able to get our vaccines, I burst into tears. I did not realize how much emotion, because when the pandemic first started, I really truly believed, oh, it's only for a couple weeks. And then when a couple weeks passed and it wasn't over, I really truly believed, oh, it's only for a couple months. I never fathomed that it could last over a year, and I don't think I really let myself believe it. I don't think I let myself grieve for everyone who suffered, for everyone who's been lost, for the year we've all lost. I was really living in a, oh no, everything's fine. That's my go-to. That's my defense. My sister and I once almost drove through a whole tornado, and the whole time I was like, we're fine. It's fine, and I didn't process it and get a huge stomach ache until after, like, hours after, when we were home and I was watching the news and I saw it and I was like, whoa, that was almost us. That was, so take that and multiply it by a year. That's what I've kind of been going through emotionally these past couple months, and maybe why I haven't been as eager to hop on YouTube, because I've hit a lot of pandemic walls. I've hit probably about a wall at least every 2 weeks since January. And I'm not ashamed of it. It's, I had mental health issues before the pandemic. And, I think it's important to talk about them and acknowledge them. And I fully acknowledge that I was probably in full-blown denial for the better part of last year. And then when it struck 2021, it really hit me. But this week has been good. Last week I cried about 3 or 4 times. This week I haven't cried once, which is awesome. That turned into a much longer speech than I intended. I was really just trying to say that, signing up for in-person events again. But until then, I will continue to read and try to share my books with y'all, because I do love you and I miss you. And I can't wait until we're all vaccinated and we can see the world again and we can see each other. Until then, this is chapter 4 of Trashy Suspense novel. Remember, Eloise owns a bookstore. Daniel Brunsworth just moved into town. She's her friend. I can't talk. He is Eloise's friend Hetty's nephew. He's going to be working in Eloise's bookshop writing his new book. And there is a monster that roams the woods of Cedar Ridge, where they live, called the Bog Man. At the beginning of the school year, I exchanged phone numbers with a few of the other Cedar Heights moms, and we created a group chat. Originally, it was intended to keep up with homework assignments, class announcements, and to discuss any questions or concerns we may have had. Of course, it only took about 2 weeks for it to evolve into a social hotline. Sure, we'll talk about something school-related every once in a while, but we mostly discuss movies we don't have time to see, manicures we can't afford to get, and all the ways our own parents still manage to drive us crazy. This morning, I wake up to a series of text messages, as I often do, but they're not about the first grade bake sale, the upcoming winter carnival, or the latest true crime documentary to drop on Netflix. There was a sighting. The Bog Man is back, and the local news outlets are already celebrating. The legend lives on. Bog Man returns. Hello, Bog Man, our old friend. Welcome back, Boggy. Infamous beast reemerges after 4 years. Linda McAllen was on her way to her early morning shift at Preston Park Medical Center when she saw it, a tall, hairy creature making a mad dash into the forest. It was the movement that caught my eye, Nurse McAllen claims. I was driving, the same route that I drive every morning. It was still dark, so naturally I had my lights on. All of a sudden, there it was. It moved so quickly I didn't get a good look at it, but I do know that whatever it wasn't human. Although Nurse McAllen couldn't positively identify the creature, she knew immediately what it had to be. Oh, you've got to be kidding, I groaned. I don't bother reading the rest of the article. It can't possibly tell me anything I don't already know. Besides, I need to get up and make breakfast for Isaac. I can't waste my morning poring over this nonsense. Of course, word spreads like wildfire in a town as small as Cedar Ridge, and by the time I make it to work, the streets of downtown are bustling with locals and tourists alike, all asking the same question. It's sort of like the beginning and the opening of It's sort of like being in the opening sequence of a Disney movie. But instead of singing about the funny girl who likes to read or the street rat who stole a loaf of bread, all of the colorful townspeople are wondering whether or not their neighbors have heard about the Bog Man. And of course, everybody's answer is yes. Even Daniel's heard the news. So I guess old Floyd was right, he remarks, once again setting up shop in the lounge. And remember, Floyd Whalen is kind of the town crazy old man who believes he saw and was attacked by the Bog Man. So I guess old Floyd was right, he remarks, once again setting up shop in the lounge. Is this how it always is? I couldn't tell you, I reply. I wasn't living here the last time Bog Man hysteria swept through Cedar Ridge. Ah, so we're both in for a new experience. Lucky us, I quip. You know, you never told me what you think it is. Didn't I? No, you diverted the question, so I'll ask again. Do you believe in the Bog Man? I pause for a moment, trying to figure out exactly how to answer him. The truth is, I'm not entirely sure what I believe, I admit. On a conscious level, no, I don't think that monsters actually exist. But at the same time, ding, crash. Sorry, I gotta fix my little flower crown. Ding, crash. Before I can finish, the door to the bookshop slams open, nearly knocking my shopkeeper's bell right off of its hook, and a stocky young man with bristly blonde hair and wide hazel eyes bursts inside. Hey, yo, Jason! He calls out. Logan! I snap before I could help myself. Oh, hey, Miss Keller, Logan grins, strutting into the lounge. Where's J-Man? For the most part, Jason has always had pretty decent taste in friends. Logan Taylor is the exception. He's loud, he's obnoxious, and he's got an ego on him the size of an ocean liner. I truly don't know how Jason puts up with him. He's still out of town with the crew. I thought you went with them. I wish. Couldn't get the time off work, Logan whines. So will Jay and the guys be back soon? Yeah, tomorrow. That's not soon enough. I need them now. We've got a Bog Man to catch. Of course you do, I mutter. You scoff, but mark my words, little lady. The Bog Man is out there, and I'm going to be the one to prove it. Little lady? And here I was thinking he couldn't possibly get more irritating. In the meantime, he continues, I'm going to need some books on roughing it in the wilderness. Whatever you've got. I know your selection is kind of limited. Are you seriously thinking of going out there? Daniel asks. Hell yeah, I am. How else am I supposed to document the greatest cryptozoological discovery of the 21st century? Logan asks, all but basking in his own eminence. His spell of self-admiration is temporarily broken, however, when he takes a closer look at Daniel. You look familiar. Yeah, I've got one of those faces. This is Hetty's nephew, Daniel. He just moved here, I tell Logan. Oh, well, welcome. I hope you enjoy snowstorms and monotony, Logan says. Then he turns back to me. So, Miss Keller, about those survivalist books. And we're back to this. Whatever we have in our limited supply is going to be in nonfiction under guides and manuals, I answer. You might also check out the nature section. Thanks, he winks. I'm dead serious. He actually winks at me. I don't know whether to laugh or vomit. He seems like a piece of work, Daniel mutters once Logan is out of earshot. You have no idea, I grumble. But hey, if he wants to spend his money here, I'm not about to stop him, even though I'm fairly certain those books will end up as coasters for his specialty set of collectible beer mugs. Actually, they're called steins. That is not the point, I reply, casting him a sidelong glance. To my delight, he laughs. So you don't think he's actually going to catch a monster? No, I don't think he's actually going to read. That's when Daniel laughs again, so loudly this time that Blythe hears it all the way from the cash register. Sounds like you kids are having a good time in there, she calls. Hastily, I busy myself sweeping the floor around the fireplace so that Daniel won't see me blushing. Thankfully, he doesn't seem to notice. Boy, it's nice to be called a kid again, he says. Back in New York, I was always surrounded by 20-somethings fresh out of college. I was beginning to feel like the only old guy in Manhattan. Sounds like a title for your autobiography, if you ask me, I tease. Ha, you're funny. Why, thanks. Just then, Logan reappears with an armful of used books. Thanks again, Miss Keller. And hey, before I go, don't you have, like, a loft or something here? I do, actually. All of the old buildings downtown have 2 or 3 stories. Every once in a while, I think about converting my second story into a cafe, or perhaps moving the lounge up there and expanding my floor space down here. But then I remembered that that costs money and I have a 6-year-old, and so the second floor remains an extra storage space for stuff that's probably been up there longer than I've been alive. All that considered, I'm sure that I'm happier. I can't read today. I don't know why. All that considered, I'm sure I'm happier with the cobwebs and dust bunnies than whatever harebrained scheme Logan is about to suggest. Where are you going with this, Logan? I ask. Well, I'm just thinking that if you're not using it, maybe Jason and I could turn it into our headquarters. You know, we can move in all our film stuff, hang up some maps on the wall. No. You didn't even let me finish. I heard enough. Come on, are you worried that we'll trash it? Because you know Jason will keep it tidy. Maybe. It isn't that. Though now that he mentions it, it is a valid concern. Then what? Are you worried it will distract him from his work? I just don't want any of that stuff in my store. What stuff? The Bog Man stuff. But it's science, Logan argues. It's not science. It's creepy and weird, and I don't want anything to do with it. Of course, that isn't good enough for Logan. Why don't you take some time to think about it, and then you can get back to me, he asks. Then, before I have time to argue or even speak, he turns and dashes out the door as boisterously as he entered. I'm not going to change my mind, I call after him, but he's already gone. Heaving an aggravated sigh, I turn back to Daniel, who doesn't even try to hide the smirk behind his beard. Sorry about that. No, don't apologize, he tells me. So does this mean you're a believer after all? I'm not going to go so far as to say I'm a believer. I'm just not about to take any chances, I reply. That's what I was going to say earlier. Even though I don't think I believe, I can't say that I know for sure that there isn't something out there, because I don't. No one does. And that's what scares me the most. And you don't like being scared, Daniel concludes. No, do you? Sure I do. It's fun. You and Jason, I shake my head. Is he your boyfriend? My assistant. He's obsessed with ghosts and monsters and spooky urban myths. Does he read a lot of horror? He reads it, he writes it, he lives for it. His dream is actually to become a filmmaker specializing in horror, and that's why he's not here right now. He and a few of his friends went off to investigate an old haunted prison. I'm sure he'll be thrilled to know the Bog Man has returned. Daniel nods and stares down at his computer screen. His brow froze and he appears lost in thought. Suddenly I find myself feeling rather self-conscious. I'm sorry, that was probably a lot more than you wanted to know, I tell him. No, it's fine, he says, meeting my eye once again. It wasn't you, I promise. Still, I really should let you get on with your work. Just as I should really be getting on with mine. As always, let me know if you need anything. Thanks. With a polite smile and a nod, I turn to leave and go about my business, but then he calls out to me again. Eloise. I look back at him. I enjoy talking with you. This time, I can feel the blush all the way from the roots of my hair to the tips of my toes. Likewise. Alright, so, Trashy suspense novel, as well as trashy romance novel, Boy Band, and Cemetery Tours are all available as hardbacks, in paperback, and on Kindle Unlimited. As always, I'll post all my links below. And I'll also post the Tall Dog and Darcy link, so if you want to listen to a new podcast, it's there for you. And have a wonderful spring, everyone. I can't wait to see you again. Bye!